Okay, so it seems like recently Deme has been calling out some VTubers in terms of viewbotting, which I think is pretty crazy, right? Because again, obviously viewbotting has been a big kind of issue in the streaming space, not just with VTubers, but in general, right? Because again, a lot of people tend to viewbot to kind of inflate their viewership to get them at higher, on categories such as, obviously just chatting or games or whatever, to essentially get more viewers, for like real viewers, from having a higher count being higher up on the page, right? And that is something that always happens. And of course, some people also do it to kind of have a kind of social status or whatever, in terms of the fact that, they like being someone who's over like a K or whatever in viewership or something like that, right? And again, it is a very, very common thing, and it is common among a lot of VTubers as well. And we've talked about viewbotters before in terms of this kind of stuff. And well, it seems like Deme has been kind of talking about it as well with this one tweet here, saying, why is nobody talking about the blatant viewbotting in the VTuber sphere? Which again is pretty crazy. And, a lot of people saying, hey, I love you, Deme, but it's kind of ironic to vague post about this. This is why no one is talking about it. Nobody says names, so I generally have no idea who you're talking about. She said, sorry for vague posting, it wasn't intentional. I just wanted to see the thoughts of Twitter before I said anything. I posted a reply on the OG tweet, and here's the reply. And obviously she says, the most blatant one is Olivia Monroe, who obviously is another VTuber called Olivia Monroe. Here you go, 21.5k followers. And again, yeah, they have been very, very popular over on Twitch, at least from the analytic kind of standpoint, right? With them averaging, around about 6k viewers per stream, which is quite a bit, right? But again, obviously, it seems like Deme is kind of claiming that Olivia Monroe is, viewbotting, right? And I do see a lot of the time that Olivia Monroe does top the charts of a lot of things to do with VTubers, whether it's like a streams chart thing, the ones that we always look at on this channel. I always see her like near the top, but I never hear anything about her, right? I never hear anything on Twitter or like any kind of drama or even like big announcements, because even like big announcements of big streamers and VTubers always get to my feed, right? But again, I never see anything from Olivia Monroe. Maybe that's because I just don't watch her. I don't know. But obviously they go on to say, why many other streamers as well are frustrated about this. I spoke to Olivia Monroe's talent agency, Mythic Talent, that mostly her viewership are bots, and they said it's not their problem. Which again, I do think, Mythic Talent isn't someone to kind of, I guess, worry about this kind of stuff. But also at the same time, whenever you're handing out sponsors and presenting, obviously a thing, if it is mostly bots, right? If you do have a viewership of mostly bots, then of course that's going to affect how the kind of people that are sponsoring them and giving out ads and stuff are going to get back, because of course there's not going to be very many real people clicking on those links and those sponsored posts, right? So again, I think that is a kind of factor for Mythic Talent to at least like take into account. I know it's not their problem, but I think it's their problem whenever it comes to how their talents are kind of getting adverts and things through to themselves. They say, FYI, since she averages around 5,000 of mostly bots, she gets 5 figures per sponsor. Sponsors pay by average viewership. That's an opportunity lost to someone else, especially in that said agency. I'm in another, so this doesn't affect me, but it must be frustrating since that budget could have went to supporting another streamer who doesn't have 90% of their views faked. I say it isn't an issue of them viewbotting, it's the issue of fraud. You're poisoning the well for the others, ruining the trust between sponsors and content creators, and I decided to speak up because of this, not anything else. If she's being viewbotted because of someone else, I sincerely don't care. She's still being paid by fake numbers and earning by these bots. So yeah, obviously, she has a big problem with, her taking sponsors and things, which I think is fair enough, right? If that is the case and she is viewbotting, then that is fair enough, right? But obviously a lot of people are skeptical in terms of like the kind of, accusations and things brought towards Olivia Monroe. Like, is she actually viewbotting? Because I think this is one of the hard things to kind of look at as well, is the fact of like, hey, how can you actually prove and how can you tell, that someone is viewbotting? Because of course, this is something that people are so careful about whenever, kind of, I guess, accusing someone of this, because usually they have like a lot of proof or evidence to back it up. But again, Deme hasn't provided any with this post. Maybe she might follow up later on. I don't know. But this is like kind of what her viewership looks like. It looks very, very stable, right? And it does look a little bit odd in terms of, how kind of consistent, it stays throughout the entire stream. A lot of the stream, you know, you have people dipping in and out, but it seems like with this, they seem to be watching literally everything that she does. For example, like just chatting here, right? It goes up to about, you know, 6,000, and then it goes and stays around about 6,000 through Marvel Rivals, which again is incredibly odd for a streamer in general, right? And the same goes for all of these. Usually, whenever someone switches between games and things, you know, they wouldn't really exactly have this kind of, you know, consistent viewership. Usually what you would see here is like, hey, the views are going up, and then it drops whenever she starts playing Goddess of Victory Nikkei, because of course a lot of people aren't interested in it, and that's just normal, right? A lot of people aren't 100% interested in exactly what you are doing. But I think the one kind of interesting thing here to kind of point out, especially with this one, I don't know if it shows it in the charts of any of these. I mean, yeah, this is kind of weird. A lot of the bumps, of course, like raids and stuff, does take a kind of, you know, a factor in this. But of course, as you can see here, this is the average Twitch users. This is how many registered users there are in the chat, and how many people are actually like within the chat, right? And they compare this to the viewer ratio, which is a 71%, which obviously claims that 29% of the viewers in the stream are not real, which again, obviously, you know, that causes a big problem. Now, of course, I don't think that she exactly has a small channel or a small chat. It seems like whenever I've looked at her stream, VODs and things, her chat goes by pretty fast, and it goes by pretty fast to someone who has about 4,900 viewers, right? That it kind of makes sense, right? But of course, it starts to get a little bit blurry whenever you get into the thousands, because people can't really tell if this chat is going too slow or too fast for someone that is supposed to have around about 7,000 viewers, right? Because again, the difference between 4,000 and 7,000 in terms of chat speed is a little bit less noticeable, and of course, some people can't really call it out as much. But it seems like in most of these kind of stream things, if it's even going to load up, it seems that in most of these kind of stream summaries, the user base always is lower than the kind of viewers that take part in the stream. As you can see here, right, she had around about 10,000 viewers, right, for this, and it only says she has about 3,000 average users, which is a 46% ratio. That's even worse, right? And it doesn't look good. Now, of course, you know, someone could be view botting her, someone could be kind of I guess, you know, artificially inflating her viewers without her knowing. But I'm going to be honest, I think it is pretty obvious at this point, and it would be something that she had to look into. But again, it is still obviously affecting a lot of people who are trying to take sponsors and stuff through this. And yeah, I mean, if you just kind of look, see like 4,000 viewers to the 7,000 average viewers, so users to the 7,000. It's just such a big difference. And if you check like other streamers, right, if we just go to like random channels here, like for example the Burnt Peanut, I'm not sure if he has it enabled or not. No, he doesn't. Okay, but some people have it enabled, some people don't have it enabled. But again, if you check like random streamers, they will have it closer to you know, the user and viewer base will be closer because the majority of them are real, right? And that is the main kind of point. Like, let's go to Iron Mouse, for example. I'm pretty sure she has some that are enabled, right? Okay, apparently not. Apparently no one has them enabled anymore. But, you know, sometimes stream charts, or not stream charts, Twitch Tracker does have these things enabled to essentially show you the users that are in the stream. But again, as you can see here, right, I'm sure it will show you. Okay, I mean, you know, IMAS also has a pretty consistent viewership as well. But again, I do think some things are a little bit odd. But of course, I think whenever it comes to calling stuff out like this, sometimes you need to look into, you know, the exact evidence and things that Deme, you know, needs to put out, right, whenever making a, you know, pretty heavy accusation like this. Because of course, this is pretty heavy, right? Obviously, she says, you know, further down that she likes you know, Olivia Monroe, and she's only had good experiences with her. But of course, her main problem is, you know, taking up sponsor spots whenever people with actual bigger viewerships could actually be taking them, right? Obviously, people said this graph tells me what I need to know, and obviously, yeah, it seems like it's gone up slightly, but the hours streamed has stayed the same. I mean, again, I don't know. Sometimes you can have a big rise in popularity, but of course, you know, sometimes it is botted, right? People say here, Olivia Monroe, real viewer count of approximately 700, 6,000 chat connected bots with 5,000 view components entered at a steady rate in the first hours. These are regular bots for this channel. So obviously, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that they've got. I love seeing a lot of people say, yeah, we're getting names, let's go. So respect for actually naming them. as a hell of an accusation to make with zero proof. Could say that is quite the accusation. That unless you have good proof beyond speculation, maybe don't name drop. I know you mean well, and I respect that. Just remember, you never know the battles someone is facing. Which again, a lot of people are saying like, hey, we're gonna need some proof, which I do think is fair enough, right? People do need proof whenever it comes to this kind of situation. I feel like, you know, as far as it goes, you know, a lot of what we've seen from Olivia Monroe's channel hasn't been too crazy. I mean, the user to viewer ratio has been pretty crazy, right? And that is the only bit of evidence I think I can find about it. But I would really like to see, you know, what kind of evidence that, you know, Deme would have about it to actually prove her point further. Else there's going to be a lot of people being skeptical, right? And obviously, Shondo did actually respond to this as well, saying the biggest problem with this is that you're assuming that the streamer, her agency, and her sponsors are all completely unaware, or someone completely unrelated to all of this. I understand the viewbotting is a huge rampant issue in the streaming space, but this comes across as incredibly inflammatory, and I just can't stand to see you here talking about a dear friend of mine this way. The most I will say here, as I won't speak on her behalf, is that Olivia Monroe does not bot her viewership, and neither does any company or brand behind her. There is absolutely nothing you can do if your viewers are being artificially raised by a third party. You can tell your talent manager, your partner manager, your sponsors even, but none of these people can do anything to stop this. And then, of course, Deme did respond saying, all my interactions with Olivia have been wonderful, and I don't doubt that she's a wonderful girl. But my point still stands. 90% botted viewers and take sponsors from with those fake viewerships is still insane. I said this in stream. I don't wish malice towards her, whatever. But I personally think if I was botted for 2 years straight, it has to be done by someone who thinks is helping her. Maybe if she spoke out against it, it wouldn't really happen anymore. But with her spamming and accepting every sponsor, it makes other people, including I, think otherwise. That's literally all. I hope that she's able to address this properly, and I wish her the best. She said, I don't know you, and I don't know anything about you, and I have absolutely nothing against you, but please do not talk so confidently and cruelly towards one of the loveliest, brightest, happiest streamers on Twitch. There is no other streamer with a genuine level of good energy and kindness. 1 viewer or 100 viewers. Ollie is in a million, is 1 in a million. Please don't be cruel to her, which again, yeah, I do think is pretty interesting, right? And I don't think Shondo has responded to this one. Obviously, a lot of people saying, girl, please, you should have made this like one of the first tweets, so people aren't assuming that you're calling out her personally when it might be a third party. Said, oh, my bad. I could never know that though. Which again, I do think that, you know, if you're going to make a call out post on someone essentially like this, there needs to be like a degree of evidence behind it to kind of get people on your side, right? To be like, oh, okay, you know, that makes sense. I can see that. And then, of course, you know, Olivia Monroe can respond to that and, you know, talk about it and why that is the case. But right now, Olivia Monroe is probably just going with like a, you know, I'm not viewbotting kind of thing, right? Like, what's she supposed to say? Like, there's not really any kind of evidence for her to go against, right? If there was like a ton of evidence that, you know, Deme had put down below, then that, you know, maybe Olivia could respond to, then sure, I think that, you know, would be fair enough, right? But of course, she's just going to go, well, I'm not botting, right? And that's all she can really say, right, in regards to this. So I do think it is a pretty interesting situation that we're going to have to follow. Of course, there is a big view botting problem over on VTuber Twitch, though, which I do think Deme is 100% right about. It's just more so the calling out of specific people, which I do think is good, by the way, if they are genuinely view botting. So obviously, we have to wait and see if there is any proof behind this, right? But of course, you know, obviously calling out people as well is fair enough. But I would just like to see that little bit of extra information than just, you know, saying their name and saying you're frustrated that they're getting sponsors, which is fair enough. But I would like to see the proof behind that as well, right? And I think that is what everyone really wants to see. You know, a lot of people don't like view botters on the platform, but they also like, you know, to see the proof behind someone actually doing this on the platform, which I think is fair enough from a lot of viewers. So again, as I said, we'll have to wait and see what happens with this in the future. But yeah, I mean, that's about all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go over to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.